All right, how's it going? This is Musa, and I'm in the location where it all happened, where I was falsely arrested. At this mall right here in this precise location, I was approached by several police officers who came running out of their cop cars with the hands on the triggers of their guns, all pointed at me. I was then handcuffed, searched, and identified as the suspect of a robbery. After that, I was taken to a detention facility that's not too far away from here. And I stayed there for hours until the detectives found out that the person who made the false report completely fabricated the whole story. They made it all up. So I'm making this video in a response to a GoFundMe campaign that I just started asking for community support. So if you're interested, please check it out. I'm not trying to badmouth police officers. I'm not trying to badmouth this place or even the person who made the false report. I'm making this video for three main reasons. The first reason is to share my story. I feel like it's important that the community knows these stories, that these stories are put out into the open so that people can know that these things are happening. The second reason is I'm making this video to tell people about the GoFundMe campaign that I just started. And the third reason is I want to show people how I'm transcending the trauma of this experience in a positive way. And hopefully that my example can help other people who have been through experiences like this or who are going through experiences like this. So what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna sort of paint the scene for you. I'm in the exact location where it happened. I'm gonna show you exactly what happened. I'm gonna read a little bit from the case report. I have the case report right here, which shows all the details of what happened in the false arrest and everything. And then after that, we're gonna see if we can find some of the police officers that arrested me. We'll see if we can get a couple interviews from them. Yeah, so this is the scene right here. This is the mall, and at this location right here, there used to be a bus stop right here. And on that particular day, I was just waiting for the bus, about to go back home to Boulder. And as I was waiting for the bus, if you can see right here, just imagine several cop cars coming from this direction. See this car coming right here? Imagine several cop cars with their sirens on coming from this direction. At first I was like, wow, where are they going? And then after a while I realized they were coming towards me. That's when things started to get interesting. I remember somebody was actually waiting at the bus stop right here with me. And when the cops came, they just casually started walking away. Yeah, after that, they put me on the curb right here. I sat on this curb in this specific spot right here with my hands cuffed as they were searching my belongings. And then after that, actually an unmarked cop car came from this direction. I remember that. And inside the cop car was the person who was positively identifying me as the person that robbed them. So I remember all this very clearly, and it still is etched in my memory. You know, I feel like trauma is a universal language. You know, everybody goes through trauma in life, but I feel like what separates one person from another person's trauma is how they choose to respond to the trauma. So I'm here, I tried to talk to the police officers, but they did not want to talk to me. So we're just gonna move on from that and move into the case report. So what I'm gonna do now is just read a couple excerpts from the case report of what happened, just so you can see a little bit of some of the details of what happened in the investigation. So I'm gonna omit the names. I'm gonna change the names so that doesn't become an issue. So here's one of the first excerpts. Detective Lindsay, audio videotaped an interview with Laura at the police department. I occasionally watch parts of the interview on the monitor, and at one point heard Detective Lindsay ask Laura to describe how the incident made her feel. Laura stated she was really nervous and thought she was going to be kidnapped and never see her parents again. Here's another excerpt. It goes, Detective Lindsay and I explained to Laura that I had been arrested and was still at the detention center, and that they needed to be released if she was filing a false report. Laura still continued to state that she was telling the truth. This is an excerpt when she finally admitted that she wasn't telling the truth. She said, she admitted that she was scared of me because he is black. Yeah, so every time I come back to this mall, every time I come back to this space where the event happened, I still feel the emotions of what happened. I still feel a little bit of anxiety. And it used to be more, but I did work on that to heal myself. And one of the things I did to work on that is I would come back to this mall every once in a while. I would come back and I would make it a point to walk around. And if any emotions came up inside of me, if I felt any kind of anxiety or if I felt any kind of fear, then I would acknowledge it and I would work through it and try to breathe and try to relax and try to come to a state of peace. Because I feel like a lot of the times what happens in situations of trauma is that wherever the trauma happens, that situation or that object becomes the point of the trigger. And then the triggers can start to control people's lives. They can turn into phobias. So the only way to really have liberation over these things is to face our emotions, take responsibility for the feelings that we have. Every time I come back to this mall, I feel the feelings that I felt when I saw the guns pointed in my face, when I felt the handcuffs on my wrists, when I was taken, basically abducted off the street. I feel those feelings, so I had to make it a point to always come back here and just walk around and just try to feel relaxed, just try to feel at peace, just try to breathe and try to work through the emotions that have been etched into my psychology through the trauma of that experience. A lot of the times when people go through trauma, different situations become triggers for them. So now this mall has become a trigger for me. Every time I think of this mall, every time I come to this mall, certain feelings and emotions come up inside of me. So what I learned to do to transcend that trauma is to not run away from it, not try to deny it. I come to this mall every once in a while and I face those feelings that come up inside of me. I try to feel what comes up and I try to transcend it and I try to feel at peace. I try to feel like I'm safe. I try to feel like I'm okay. I try to breathe and I try to relax when I come back to this spot. And in a way, what that does is that heals the trauma when I face it, when I step into the exact place where the arrest happened, when I walk through the mall, and I try to relax. If any feelings come up, if any anxiety comes up, I breathe through it and I come back to peace. I come back to relaxation. And that's one thing that I learned of how to really deal with trauma is to not run away from it, but to face it. So walk with me in this experience. If you're interested in what happened, check out the GoFundMe campaign after you watch this video and try to support.